Run through this entire session, it has been globalization, it has been competitiveness, and it has to do with adding value to companies, to corporations, to products. We're fortunate in this particular session that we cover all three. I would like to introduce Dr. Mogahzy from Auburn University, who is going to talk about globalization, competitiveness, and information, but from the standpoint of quality, price, and image. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Mogahzy.
Modernization and globalization. These are two of the buzzwords that we hear about everywhere now. Modernization is a state of mind at which a country feels and realizes that it's capable of being effectively and efficiently productive. Modernization, on the other hand, is a combination of so many things involving culture, urban infrastructure, service, information logistics, quality, and the list. The state of modernization is primarily judged by its impact on people's quality of life, education, environment, health, activities, and the human rights. Security. The role of government in all of this is that the government should act as a strategic planner, facilitator, protector, and motivator. The role of people should be just about everything else, basically everything. That takes us to the point of how we judge a model country versus this model country. One of the measures that economists use is the people-government role ratio. Typically speaking, the state of development or underdeveloped, you have a people-to-government role ratio of less than 1/2. Developing country from about 0.5 to 1. And in well-developed country, you can see that the ratio is quite high, meaning that the people do most of the things, and the government role, as I mentioned, is that the strategic planner and facilitator, and of course tax collector to be able to do all of this and provide security. The state of the PG ratio, or the people-government ratio, can vary depending on many situations. The constitutional restructuring, people-government relationship, the state of security, the level of diversity, culture, diversity, and as you all know by now, globalization has so many supporters and many opposition. Supporters make their points based on the fact of what they believe in many well-developed industrial countries are basically seeking a radical transition from traditional localized markets to international markets. We are after the money, whatever we can get. That's the supporter, and they announced that there is nothing to hire. The underdeveloped and developing countries, which represent most or many of the opposition, I'm talking people here, not governments, they take that globalization result in destruction of cultural diversity, alteration of local taste, and destruction of moral structure. The fact is, globalization is inevitable. It's going to happen. It's going to happen whether we like it or not, because it's already happening by our kids that are playing with people every day, trying to seek to close the gap between different cultural and so how is to benefit from the opportunities presented by breaking the barriers between different countries in the globe that let's address them. How to integrate instead of isolate, yet maintain a country's unique cultural integrity and the moral structure. That's another question that every country should address. How best to live with the many of the problems that will inevitably occur as a result of globalization. Inevitable, let us focus on the problems. Now, as you all hear this term many times before, global village.
Excuse me. Will you please hold the mic to...
I cannot, okay, hold it. Is it working?
Yes.
Okay, so you heard the term global village, which in my opinion implies harmony and peace and rosy environment. That is how I see a village, the way I was raised. The reality is globalization will result in a global ship. And that ship will keep moving and moving. The ship will require a captain, and captains will not lead forever. They retire and hand the flags to more powerful, better qualified captains. The ship will also face many storms, and it will often go where the winds go. Survival in stormy winds will likely be the strongest, the most intelligent, and the most robust. There will be many levels of classes on the ship, and the weakest will likely remain on deck. The ship will be the work, and the work will be the ship. If you don't join, if you don't hold on, you will likely drown. As you will look at the paper, there are some details about how I see this global ship, and I'm not going to go over just for the sake of time. But yes, there will be superior global segment, and the dominant global segments, we already see that, and many, many participants that will have to have some role in the global ship in order to survive in the world trade. The textile industry, the transition from the industrial age to the information age. I don't want to go through the historical developments that you all know, but the fact is, if you are one of the younger generation, you should know that the textile industry is the one that sparked the industrial revolution in 1700s. We began the industrial revolution with the first loom ever invented by John Kay, a British weaver. And that was really the sparking point of the entire industrial revolution. Textile industry continued after that to participate into the industrial age very effectively, and has become a major part of it. Without going too much to the history, we are now in the information age, and we have to face the facts of the information age. Today, the same industry that changed the world and sparked the industrial revolution is being perceived as a declining industry. An industry that has largely missed the onset of the information age. The same industry that paved the road for countries seeking to enter the modern industrialized age is now at a turning point that can either lead to a major revival or to a continued decline. What happened to the textile industry? What can be done to revive the industry? What is the role of evolving countries? And what is the role of industrial countries? That is how this discussion developed after I submitted the first abstract. What's the meaning of business decline in the information age is quite different than how we see business decline or how we saw business decline in the industrial age. A business decline would simply be a result of minimum market stimulus. The business is there because we all need it. It will be a food industry, it will be a textile industry because everybody needs clothing and food. But the declining aspect will depend on how much market stimulus these markets or these industries provide. High level of vulnerability to many external factors such as trade regulation, price-based factors, labor wage, debts, retailers, and distributors, and so on. The textile industry will undergo a major remapping in the years to come. Who is the biggest exporter of the textile and the apparel products today? Anybody knows? The biggest exporter?
China, I think.
Exactly. You guys are right. Well, who is the biggest importer?
United States.
You guys are good. In the year 2000, there was $62 billion trade deficits in the US. And almost 92% of this was in the clothing business. At the same year, the European textile and apparel trade deficit reached about $34 billion. It's not bad considering that the two markets are almost the same volume. So trade deficits, one would consider this situation here as real bad news for the US market and the real good news for China, right? Biggest exporter, biggest importer, and being an exporter is good news for sure. Trade deficits is a failure by the country industry to compete, or at least is an index of a failure by the country industry to compete in global markets. It may also result of unfair trade barriers above the face that country exports. There are many positives also of trade surplus that we all know, major jobs, very sensitive political issues, you know, more production units, more foreign currency, more into the country. But there are also negatives of trade surplus. Loss of internal competitive environment, undesirable price hike, wider social gaps, and inevitable gap between the quality of local products and that of the exported products, exports subsidizing at the expense of local economic interests. So trade deficit is not all that bad, because the bottom line is the people. Countries do not trade, people do. The people quality of life is the measure. I can imagine having lived in the United States for 23 years. Now, if we are not importing a great deal of textile products today, that I'm going to find a shirt that I normally buy for 1 month for $10, $15, and at least $50 or $60. And I'm not going to be happy with that. I face the same problem in the medicine, in the pharmaceutical industry, where I buy the bottle of medicine for $250, and if I go across the board in New York, I would buy it for $12. So trade deficits can be a positive sign, provided that it's not associated with borrowing money and the falling into debts and the failure to pay the debts. Modernizing the textile industry will require market stimulus, customer-consumer interactions, and new products. We have to have a market structure in any country to enter the information age. First, we have to have market structure, information technology, research and development, integrated competitive quality. I'm going to go over this real quick. If you look historically, the textile industry has relied on the apparel industry primarily to provide all market stimulus. So the two industries relied so much on each other, and if there is a shake-up in one industry, it will become an automatic shake-up in the other. And that alliance sometimes has faced so many problems. In industrial countries, the market connection between the textile industry and the apparel industry is major overhaul, and they are doing that today. It's labor intense, the apparel side, labor skills, labor wages, consumer behavior keep changing, and price differential. Textile industry, on the other hand, have been working so hard over the years for high production, automation, logistics, and diversity. And you can see the contrast between these two activities. In industrial countries, the historical market connection between the textile industry and the apparel industry has resulted in high volume, low value added, massive inventory surplus, and major losses, amounts to billions in discounts. So it has not always been a happy marriage. Should it continue? Of course, it's inevitable. The apparel industry will always be the largest volume industry to provide market stimulus for the textile industry. But that bridge between the two needs a great deal of connection and a great deal of integration. Industrial countries, the historical market connection between the market, the textile and the apparel industry has resulted in fiber producer less than 10%. That's another issue. I wish it was a fair marriage over the years, because if you look at the percent that each sector of the industry gained out of selling any product, and I'm really talking about average, you will see the fiber producer gets less than 10% of the overall profit. The spinner and weaver perhaps reach 14%. The fabric goods manufacturer and wholesale industry can go as high as 40%. And of course, this range depends on the product and how much actual fiber material by weight in the product. And in the study we have more details to that. The retailers, of course, get the lion's share. Okay? And again, the retailer takes more risk, gives us high volume, inventory problems, changing consumer behaviors. So that's an obvious share, that's a fair deal. This type of distribution needs to change, and the effort here is mainly on the fiber and textile side of the business. There has been, over the years, missed opportunities. We had so many turning points that we have missed. When we invented the synthetic industry, instead of looking ahead and seeking other ways to use the synthetic industries, in industrial fabrics, for example, instead we went backward and tried to simulate synthetic industry with cotton and wool fibers. And I really think that that was okay, but more importantly, we should have used the other capabilities of synthetic industries, of synthetic fibers in industrial fabrics. So we could have coordinated these two efforts instead of focusing all the way on making synthetic fibers a cotton line and the wool line. After all, this whole thing started with a parachute. I'm going to ignore Cairo for a minute, but look at the name after World War II. It seems like we've seen the road and we did not see the rest of the high-tech textile that we made at that time. And we continued like that for many years, ignoring the high-tech side of the industry, which is low volume, high added value. In developing countries, on the other hand, the interconnection between the textile and the apparel industry may seem to be more economically feasible. It's more economical than ever today. The question here, which countries will take advantage of that and which will not? The interconnection between the textile and the apparel industry is inevitable. However, the connection is inevitable to be localized in certain areas in the globe. There are many issues that I'm going to have to skip to get to the final point because I know my time is running. Look at the volume, the population volume today, and look at how it's going to be in the year 2042. We're talking about almost doubling the population volume. And if you think of a potential market that will grow that far, it will be the textile and apparel market. The question is, who is the provider? Who is the supplier? Who is the exporter? And who is the importer? We're going to have to work hard for that, especially on that point. I'm going to emphasize one more point, which is the research and development. Something that we often ignore. We think that those guys that are involved in research and development all the time are academicians and they are out of touch with reality and all of this. Let me just give you some statistics quickly that, and again, I'm skipping some slides here because of my time. I'd be more than happy to share all this information with anyone who's interested. Look at this. This is the amount spent as a percent of the GNI, the gross national, some of countries. We have, I tried to get a significant countries as much as I was able to fit in this graph. You have the US, you have Japan, you have Switzerland, you have Germany, you have Egypt, you have Mexico. And look at how much some countries spend just in R&D, research and development, as a
of the gross income. Look at the scientists and engineers in R&D per million people, and I'm talking about scientists and engineers in research and development. Not just graduating the so-called scientists, but graduating the so-called engineers that are doing other activities. I'm talking about R&D. Look at the Japan, look at US, look at Russia, look at Egypt, look at the United Kingdom. When we talk about a country as being developed and another country as being underdeveloped, there are many, many criteria that enter the formula in society. Look at the percent of scientists and engineers students in R&D. And Egypt is doing a very good job. And look at this, the number of scientific and engineering journal articles. The high technology exports in millions. And of course, as we add these zeros, we're talking billions here. Look at the US. And these are products with high R&D intensity. Aerospace, computers, and so on. Look at the high technology exports as a percent of manufactured exports. You notice here the Filipino are very high, right? Malaysia and Singapore are the same. And if you wonder about that, I was wondering the same thing until I ordered this Dell computer. And in 1 week, it came in a box. And the box said, made in Malaysia. Okay? Produced by Dell, a US company, made in Malaysia and shipped out of Malaysia. And you can easily see that because this is the high technology export as a percent of manufactured exports, and this is the amount of money they get. Look at this. So who gets the money? It goes somewhere in there. This is globalization. So there are many criteria, but R&D is a key issue. If we are not investing in the new generation today, if we are ignoring, if we are disregarding their ideas, we're going to pay for them clearly in the future. Information technology, I'm going to let you read the paper, but if you are dealing with a single task job today, things that are systematic, doing the same thing every day, you will have no job in the very near future, because the computer can do that much better than you can. Okay? So Mr. Computer will take up your job, so you better look for something that's multitask, as something that requires intelligence and something. Converting the manpower into a brain power. If one can think of 3 basic jobs, regardless your field, agricultural or engineering or whatever, I can imagine that there will be 3 universal jobs. One job is to build hardware and software. The other job is to feed data and manipulate and organize the data that you feed into the hardware and software. And the third job will be to interpret the information resulting from manipulating and analyzing the data. Think of any other jobs in the information age of these. This, in my opinion, is what everyone is going to do. I would advise all of you to read the book Business at the Speed of Thought by Bill Gates. This guy has listed many points, 7 points, of course you know of how the whole world is going to go from the industrial age to information age, which we are already in, and he articulates every one of these points very clearly. Finally, quality. I published a book very recently on quality control statistics. Be more than happy to do that. I think I have the title of this book here. And in this book I have 5 chapters on quality, integrated quality in competitive world. And the way I define quality is that I use 2 terms, quality of consumerization and quality of competitive empowerment. Quality of consumerization is the extent of capturing consumer desire to purchase a product or use a service and maintaining the momentum of such desire until it becomes a shopping sensation. McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, think of these names. McDonald's only sell beef, right? So what's going on here? Domino's Pizza sells pizza in the Duomo in Italy to the country that made the pizza. That is how you make shopping, turn it into sensation. That's how you influence an entire culture and population. Then the quality of competitive empowerment is not enough to initiate a quality strategy. You must keep the momentum. This is how the competitive loop is going to look like in a globalized age, in an information age. Here you are, you have other competitors everywhere. Some of these are local, others are somewhere else in the world. You have the consumer who has virtually 100% access to all of your competitors, right? And you have also other organizations that are watching you, working for the consumers. So if you think that you're deceiving your customer, there are organizations in the globalized age that will be watching what you do. So you're going to have to meet the worldwide standards whether you like it or not. The catch here is how to attract this consumer from all of these external forces. And the book goes into details of how you do that in a step-by-step fashion. The integrated, competitive, quality program. Perhaps the key issue in this is the so-called quality superiority triangle. The make of any real quality in the market in a global place is three elements. And when you go home, think about these. In order to sell any product, you have to have marketing or image. Second, the price. Third, the quality. That is assuming that we're dealing with an equilibrium supply and demand market, because you don't want to enter the supply and demand in this equation. What we did, we divided these factors into three indices, as you can see. First, the image index. And this is an index from 0 to 100. A 100% image index means the company is so popular. Popular among its potential customers. Coca-Cola has a 100% image index. McDonald's may be reaching that. Zero index means a company that has no image, has no marketing, doing nothing in advertising or marketing activities. So this is a very simple index here. The consumer price acceptability index is different than the consumer or the price index that the economists use. It's also from 0 to 100. With 100 means that the price is affordable by almost 100% for all the potential consumer of the product. A 0 means a product that is nobody can afford of the potential consumer of the product. Final quality, we could not simulate the same scale from 0 to 100 because quality is a just. It is not too smart to give your customer more than they ask for. And of course it is foolish to give the customer less than what they ask for. So a customer, the quality has to be adjusted. So we use it, the classical quality index, or what the people use in process capability index, as 1. Above 1, you are giving the customer more than what they want. Less than 1, you're giving the customer less than what they want. And if you do that, you can divide business into 3 types. Top contenders, those are the companies that have high image, price that's affordable by most of their potential customers. And as a result of this and this, the growth of their market allows them, they can afford making a surplus quality. There is another type of business, which is the balancers. Those guys are trying to get there. They have an average image, They have an average affordability price. They cannot afford to give away their product because they are still initiating and making the business. And their quality is a little bit above the just needed. And we have the most dangerous business in the world, the spoilers or the transit. Those guys enter any business. It doesn't matter which business it is. With economy products, very low products, they don't care much about image, and they're going to sell in any market they want because they sell in very cheap products. You can see here that their price acceptability index is very high. And those guys can spoil any business. They are not into this market to stay. They're going in and out. Unfortunately, what I found is that in most underdeveloping countries, balancers represent the main business. In developed countries, you can see both top contenders and balancers. And the spoilers are everywhere, as I mentioned. Fair globalization should lead to better redistribution of these business categories. Ideal globalization should result in a market that consists largely of faculty and potential. We have a great hope. Me and my co-author, which I must mention is my student, that the whole world will become a global ship that can only stabilize by all components in the universe, not by domination, but by harmonization. And who knows, perhaps this global ship will someday reach the global heaven where every country is important and every human enjoys the noble status. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mogahzy. In the interest of time, since we're running a little bit late, I will ask that we hold our questions until the end of the session.